We were woken up this morning by a Woj bomb as news came out that James Harden has officially been finally traded from the Sixers to the LA Clippers. But the thing that really has Raptors fans' heads turned is the other things that came out regarding this report, regarding this trade, because the Sixers don't seem to be done making moves, and the Toronto Raptors were named by Woj and multiple reporters as a team that could facilitate another transaction with the Sixers as they're looking to acquire a second star. So we'll break down what those packages could be, what's in these reports, and how this could impact the Toronto Raptors, who have been having a pretty rough start to the start of this season. But before we jump into any of that, folks, Toronto Raptors basketball is back. We're coming into the season with a new head coach, a new team, a new looking roster, potentially more moves to come, because last year things were certainly getting pretty stale, and they're feeling a little bit stale at the start of this year again. If things are feeling stale in your life, it's time to move, and Rentals.ca has you covered. Rentals.ca is Canada's largest apartment hunting network. You can rent condos, houses, apartments, whatever it is, Rentals.ca has you covered. Their website's extremely clean, easy to use. You can pinpoint exactly on the map where you're looking to move, where you're looking to rent, and Rentals.ca will be able to find you part of the largest rental listing network across the country. They'll be able to find the perfect spot for you. Rentals.ca has been an awesome partner to the channel. Big fans of the Toronto Raptors. So if you're looking to rent, if you're looking to move, it's time to move for you, and Rentals.ca has you covered. So shout out to Rentals.ca for supporting the channel. But we got some wild news that we got to sink our teeth into in this vid. And as mentioned, I'll play the Woj bomb animation once again because basically, the Philadelphia 76ers have agreed to trade guard James Harden to the Los Angeles Clippers. And this deal came as a little bit of a shock because Harden has been holding out. Morey's notoriously a guy that likes to wait on deals to sort of milk the last sort of transaction, wait for another star to potentially get moved. But Morey has a little bit of a master plan because you look at the deal that went down. Again, our Sixers guy over at Sixers Digest, Sean, is pretty hyped about the package, but no big names at all in this trade, with Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, and KJ Martin, along with other draft picks, which can then be flipped to other teams, and then James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev have all been gone to the LA Clippers. And again, Tucker and Harden are two legit guys, and the Sixers didn't get many guys, maybe KJ Martin with a bit of potential on the way back, but the picks are what's interesting in this deal, because apparently reports have come out that Morey believes that a deal could be flipped, for a new package with all the draft picks that they have, some of the players currently on the roster, and basically, the Sixers have also waived Danny Green in order to bring in the roster. Sad news there for our guy Danny Green. Maybe a vet the Toronto Raptors could land in free agency, but not diving into that because there's bigger things at hand. So initially, following this trade, when things sort of went down, I saw this report saying that Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby are two names to watch for the Philadelphia 76ers, according to Chris Mannix, who's a reporter for Sports Illustrated. But again, OG Anunoby's been linked to a multitude of trade rumors over the last little while, so unless we're hearing it from Shams or Woj, people aren't getting too excited. But then Woj came out on ESPN today and basically had this to say.
They'll keep an eye on Toronto, see what they're going to do as they get closer, deeper into the season. What direction does that organization go? OG Anunoby's been a target for a lot of people in the league. I would expect that might be the case again, and Toronto may make a decision about wanting to keep him and extending him. So that's certainly a place to watch. But
So once again, the Toronto Raptors are getting named in terms of the teams that are hottest around the league in terms of making transactions, making news. Woj directly states that the team to watch is the Toronto Raptors and name drops OG Anunoby as a guy that's targeted across the league. And should things continue to go the way that they have been, at least in the first 4 games of the season for this Toronto Raptors team, a move could certainly be made because decisions have to be made on this Toronto Raptors squad. I mean, regardless of the Woj reports, regardless of other reporters coming out and discussing these sort of potential deals, the Toronto Raptors are in no man's land. And this is something I was saying the summer preseason got us all a little bit excited. Wanted to see what Darko's doing. And I'm not disappointed in Darko. I'm not saying that the Raptors have some trash roster. Haven't completely 180 in my opinion from where we were last week. But there are some glaring issues with this Raptors squad. One, offensively, there are major problems. Discussed this in the post-game reaction last night. And two, we have a weird sort of converging timeline thing where our veteran players, we just let Fred VanVleet walk, for nothing and things there. I know it's a big contract and we didn't get much value, couldn't have gotten much value from him at the trade deadline last year, but again, in a contract season, not a lot of value for those types of guys out there in terms of the trade market. Now, we have Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby as all players that could be unrestricted free agents come next summer. And we have younger guys like Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, who look pretty good. Look really, really good this season. Scotty's looking like he's taken that step up. Again, lots of stuff to figure out with this game. Not perfect by any means. Not a guy you can rely upon to be a number one option on a winning team at this point just yet. But is showing that promise. It's taking that leap a lot of fans were hoping he'd take last season if things continue. Again, very, very small sample size to start off the year. Grady Dick has been an encouraging prospect. Again, Precious Achiuwa can have some potential. We have some pieces on this team. Jakob Poeltl is another one of our old guys that don't fit these matching timelines. And the fact that we aren't winning, right? If the two timelines would be great if the squad was getting some W's, getting some wins. But the fact is we don't have our draft pick for this year unless we completely bottom out. We traded our deal in the Jakob Poeltl trade last trade deadline, for people that don't remember, for a top 6 protected pick. So unless the Toronto Raptors are in the bottom 6 in terms of the draft lottery, how it all shakes out, the Raptors won't have their first round pick for this season. So you could go the direction of completely bottom out, but then that's an insane risk if you're a little bit too good and you don't get that, you fall out of the top 6 there. But we also have a lot of solid players, but they have free agency standing. So it's a very weird place the Toronto Raptors have put themselves in. And the fact that we haven't been able to win games immediately starting off the bat. I'm not writing off this team by any means. I really like what we've seen individually from some of our players. But, I mean, it makes sense for the Toronto Raptors to at least look to say, hey, what could we get from the Philadelphia 76ers? Is OG a player I'd be that interested in dealing up? Again, it depends on what he's going to command out there in the open market next summer, but the Sixers do have some interesting pieces. No crazy names that I know aren't going to get a lot of Toronto Raptors fans hyped up, but they have some interesting players. Terquavion Smith is a guy that personally I think is a really sort of intriguing prospect for that squad. Jaden Springer, two of those guys, the Sixers Digest is loving them and just watching their highlights and stuff this summer. Terquavion is definitely a guard that I think could be a nice potential fit around the Toronto Raptors sort of younger developing timeline. Again, if we're trading OG Anunoby, I'm not that interested in bringing back a Tobias Harris-esque player or, one of these older dudes, because we'd be fully going in that rebuilding mold, and we probably should keep OG Anunoby if we're going that rebuilding route. He's still a younger player in the NBA. He's got some veteran talent and stuff, and he's not going to be a negative trade asset even when his contract significantly spikes come next summer. So that's his whole own thing. But even a guy like Paul Reed would be an interesting prospect for the Raptors to pick up if they were to potentially make a move with the Philadelphia 76ers, dealing away some of our top guys. I mean, trading OG or potentially a Pascal or something along those lines to the Philadelphia 76ers for a Terquavion Smith, a Jaden Springer, multiple first-round picks, and a Paul Reed. Again, no big names, but that is a young timeline that really sets the Toronto Raptors up nicely for the future. So that is something, a direction. Again, I'm not sold on those types of moves, but another option, it beats out those Atlanta Hawks rumored packages we were hearing this summer, at least in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about that potential route, that potential destination. But currently, I'm content for the Toronto Raptors to ride out the next couple of months to see how this Raptors team looks. Again, 4 games in the season, you can't make that harsh of judgments onto this roster. That Bulls game could have easily been a win for us. That game against the Blazers should have been a win, right? We lost those games, but again, small sample size. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raptors end up turning around this season and stuff along those lines, but if things continue to be a mess, we have to get value back from our players that currently are just underperforming. So let me know what you guys think. It's interesting, the Toronto Raptors. It's early on in the season, but the news, the chatters, all getting started. So let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys are the best for making this far. I'm signing out. Cheers.